Hi everyone, my name is Jessie Fondon and this is my presentation for my senior project entitled Saving Jane Austen. Um, so what I want to talk about really is three things that make up this paper. The first being young adult fiction, the second is understanding the notion of post-feminism, and the third is really the conclusion of how to solve the problem at hand that I found. Now, the problem that I found is a knotted mess that you could actually look at from different points of view, uh, political, business. I looked at it from an English and history point of view since that's what I'm most comfortable with. So, first off, young adult fiction. Now, most people um, view young adult fiction as what they're being told, which a lot of people think, oh, young adult fiction, okay, that's Twilight, that's Hunger Games, that's Divergent, Mortal Instruments, a lot of this modern, very big book series we see. That's not necessarily true. Now, they are young adult fiction. However, um, it's actually a much broader spectrum. Now, young adult fiction is made up of these. There are guidelines to young adult fiction, and this is they're looking at understanding society, be it people who are different from you, different cultures, different religions. Obviously, romance, we do see that a lot. Um, Building relationships, friendships, things like that. These all serve as making up young adult fiction. Now, young adult fiction is targeted for the ages between ages of 13 and 18. Um, this not adults will still read it. I do. I openly admit it. I enjoy it. My favorite book series is a young adult series. So there's really nothing quite wrong with young adult fiction. Now, as we look further into this, I came to see that there is this notion within uh, feminism tied to this young adult uh, spectrum. Now, that seems like an odd pairing. However, it's not that odd at all. Um, a lot of times, young adult fiction is actually read by girls. Not a lot of guys will read it, and not because they're not interested. It's just there's other stories that they'd rather. A lot of them read nonfiction, biographies. I feel like some of the guys I grew up with, you'd rather read comic books. To each their own. I wouldn't mind reading comic books either. Um, so, but the notion of feminism uh, really kind of took root very early on. Now, obviously, that is part of my title, Saving Jane Austen. Jane Austen obviously wrote a lot of stories with strong female characters. This would be, I would consider, an early version of feminism. As a woman thinking for herself and saying, I don't want to marry you. I'm going to go off to do my own thing. It's not necessarily true. I mean, there is romance and whatnot, but the woman, the main character, has that strong presence. Now, as we've seen over time, as the feminist movement grew, especially in the 1900s and even to now, there is a notion known as post-feminism. Now, any movement that we see, there will always be an anti-movement. So you have, for instance, when you had the second wave of feminist movement, which is what we're very familiar with, the 70s to the early 80s, there was a very anti-feminist movement. A lot of people were afraid of it. They did not feel comfortable with a woman being equal. And there are still people who feel that way, but nowadays, thanks to that movement, there is an equal stance. However, that we're not completely equal, unfortunately, but you're trying. People are trying to make it. Now, as the feminist movement continues, we see this notion of post-feminism. Now, post-feminism is what it's what it sounds like after the fact of feminism. Basically, feminism is no longer needed. Men and women are equal, so good riddance. Not true. We are not equal. There are several boundaries that women really have to strive to hit, but we are getting there. But this notion of post-feminism is really just a mask. It's a mask of anti-feminism. Now, I say this because there are women who believe in post-feminism. They believe in working towards a goal of post-feminism. Now, that's a lot of just normal ideas, feminist ideas. We want to be completely equal. However, there are more radical feminists out there, which are known as the third wave feminists, which is a more modern, that say, no, we're going to be equal, but it's going to be on our terms, and so on. And third wave feminism, it's fairly new, and fairly complex. That even I had at times kind of one author would say one thing about third wave feminism, and another author would say another thing about, and would just contradict each other. But the one thing I did get is that they all shared post-feminism. Now, I feel that the reason behind that is possibly due to this wanting to women to feel that they are equal to men. Whether that's true or not, that would be what I would assume. However, it's still the way they went about it. The media picked up on it in the mid to late 90s, and they have loved it ever since. So that's why we're seeing a lot of what are considered post-feminism on these pedestals. Twilight is probably the biggest example of post-feminism because Stephanie Meyer has this post-feminist viewpoint of a woman can make the choice that one of her famous quotes is we all can't be slayers, regarding vampires and as well as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is true, so it is understandable. However, her book is not post-feminist as what we would like to see as post-feminist. This is the media going, hey, this is post-feminist, so you should totally get it because, she's equal and stuff. And teenagers are they're not completely emotionally developed, so they go and read it and they're going, oh, wow, okay, this is how a woman should be in society. And yeah, and on and on and on, we look at books such as Forever by Judy Blume, where a woman has to be, a certain size to be attractive and to have this aura of a strong feminine aspect. This is not true. Once again, this is viewed as a post-feminist. It's not, maybe in the author's mind as post-feminist, but for the media, they're using this as a post-feminist in the anti-feminist way. So as I continued doing this and looking at this, I realized that it's very complex, and it's very hard to go about it because a lot of people don't want to touch the notion of feminism because it is so touchy. I disagree. I think we should talk about it. One of the things that I find important is having that choice to speak your mind. Part of my paper, and just a small part of it, was the decline of classics due to this contemporary notion of post-feminism, where we're not seeing these classics being big anymore because these books are so popular. These more contemporary books are so popular that students don't really want to read these classics. And teachers, if you're like me and you were very lucky to have wonderful English teachers that had fun explaining things and introducing these ideas, then there's definitely a hope to understanding and keeping the classics. However, I think one of the things that still needs to be talked about is the choice of speaking up. Say we look at something and someone does not agree. Maybe not with what I'm saying. Someone may not agree. I want that person to have the choice to say, I don't agree and this is why. And I think that's what we are lacking now in our society, is being afraid to speak up and that choice. There is more of a radical notion that it's our way or no way. I don't feel that that is the way to go about it. I feel that as a society, we should be able to say, this is the choice that I've made, this is what I feel is right, and I may feel something different. So it is important what I found was that at the end of this project was that the big thing through the whole entire, whether it's literature, feminism, whatever, is choice, is understanding and accepting that you have a mind of your own and you can use that mind, and not sit back and just take whatever someone's teaching you or telling you. Excuse me. But speaking your mind. I felt that this paper was, a lot of fun to work on, very confusing, very at times, but very enjoyable. And I hope that through this presentation that you also enjoyed it. Whether you agree with me or disagree, I hope that you speak your mind and tell me what you think. Thank you, and congratulations to everybody that's graduating this May. Good luck to you in the future.